Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing the 10th video in my Python programming series, and today we're going to be talking about string methods. So a method is simply something you can call on a string by using the delimiter of a period followed by whatever the method is and then brackets like this. Now sometimes we have to put some things inside of the brackets, but most of the time we can just leave them with empty brackets. Okay, so let's get right into an example. We're going to start by talking about the dot strip method. Now what this one does is it pretty much removes all of the leading and trailing white spaces from a word, or from a string, sorry. So we'll start by just making a variable, and we'll make it equal to the input from the console, and we'll just say input something like that. And then we're just going to print out our input. So print out text dot strip. Okay, so again, what strip does is just going to remove all the white spaces before and after the word, and it's best to show you with an example. So you can see if we type a few spaces, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I type hello, and then a few more spaces, and I click enter, it simply gives us hello. That's because it had removed all of the spaces from the string. Whereas if I don't have the dot strip here, so if I get rid of that and we run it and I do some spaces again and I type hello and some more spaces, it's going to give us those spaces as a part of the string. And most of the time, so when we have a string, we want to remove these spaces, so that's why we use dot strip. Did I spell that right? Strip. Yeah, just like that. Okay. Alright, so that one's pretty straightforward, just removes these spaces. Now you may want to do this if you're checking if a string is equal to a certain thing and you're getting a user input and they may have accidentally typed a space before or after the word, right? Okay, so now we'll move on to the len. So this one is actually not a method because you don't call it using a dot, using a period followed by the word. It's actually known as a function, which I'll get into later. So this just means that it takes something inside of the brackets. So this stands for length, len, and pretty much what it does is returns the length of a string or of a list. So right now we're going to use a string and we're going to put text in here, and I'll show you again what it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, although this is a number, since I'm typing it in the console, it actually gives me a string value, so this will work. And it says that the length of this is 5. Again, that one's pretty useful. I used it in the last video to determine how many times we had to iterate through a list because we got the length of the list. Alright, now for dot lower. So pretty much what dot lower does is it turns everything into lowercases in our word. So again, it's best to just show using an example. If I type something like this, with a few lowercases, a few capitals, and I click enter, you see we get everything in lowercase letters. Alright, and now for dot upper, you can probably guess what this one's going to do. It's the exact same thing, except in this case, everything is going to uppercase. So, like this, and you see we get all uppercase letters. Alright, and now for the last string method that I'm going to talk about. Although there is tons of different string methods, there's probably over 40 or 50. I'm going to leave the link down below to all of the string methods on the Python website, so you can go check them out if you'd like to see some more. So this one is called dot split. Now this one I'd say is probably one of the most useful methods that I use all the time, and what it does is it actually creates a list out of the string that you give it. So inside of these brackets, you're going to put what's called a delimiter. And what a delimiter is pretty much what you want to split by. So for example, I'm going to put a period in here just so we can get an example. So we have text.split, and inside of the brackets for dot split, we have a period. So it's best to just show an example. Oh, invalid syntax. I think I have one too many brackets there. Yes, I do. Okay, so we'll run it. So I input something. I'm going to type hello dot tim dot by dot hi, just a few random words, and you can see they're all separated by a period or by a dot. Now when I click enter, you see we actually get a list with all of the words, and you notice that we don't actually have a period in this list. That's because the way that dot split works is it gets rid of the delimiter. So since the delimiter was a period, it's not going to include the period in this list. Now this may be kind of confusing. We'll do a few more examples to hopefully you can understand. So usually what you do is you would leave these brackets blank, so you wouldn't put anything in them. And by default, Python's going to say, okay, well, I guess you want to delimitate by a space. So the way that we can do this, again, what will happen is if I type a sentence like, my name is Tim, and I click enter, you see it separates by spaces, and we have no spaces in our list because it removes those spaces. Now you could also delimitate by anything you like. So I could do an A, for example. Now if I click F5 and we just type a bunch of letters and I put an A and then another A, you see we get the letters. And again, there's a space at the end because I typed a space, right? So yeah. Okay, so that's how dot split works. Now dot split's very useful if you want to do certain things with a list. We're going to talk a bit more about it later on. But those are just some basic string methods that we talked about today. Again, there are tons more on the Python website, which I will link down below. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you again later.